lie there in that old curiosity shop.
Hi everyone, this is Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop. It's Monday, July the 16th, and it's time for Guess What Sold Last Week on eBay. Now I publish these videos every Monday night, almost every Monday night, and they are designed to show you what I sold during the previous week in my eBay shop, Scott's Old Curiosity Shop. I don't spend a whole lot of time discussing the items or reviewing the pictures that much because almost everything that you will see has already been highlighted in a previous thrift haul video. Now, I am working on another thrift haul, which I'll film tomorrow, and a sneak peek is what I think is one of the ugliest Pyrex patterns ever made. And I don't know why I bought it, but I did. Isn't this ugly? It's called barbed wire. I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, I'll talk more about that tomorrow. Let's now go in and see what sold. I had a good week. I sold about 26 items. So I'm going to break this up into two because my computer is going to go really slow if I don't. So I'm going to move myself out of the way and start off by showing you a set of 1960s Anchor Hocking restaurant ware mugs. These sold for $29.99. They aren't really Fire King because they were produced after Anchor Hocking stopped using Fire King. This you'll recognize because it was just recently in a thrift haul video. It's the big Fry grill plate made of opalescent glass, somewhat unusual because of that blue ring that's around the outside of it. That sold for 20 bucks. The sandwich teacups and one saucer made by Anchor Hocking. This is called the sandwich pattern and it's in forest green. $35 for the two teacups and the one saucer. And I'm selling more of my 1950s Anchor Hocking forest green charm. This is called the charm pattern. That's the shape of the glass. These were bowls, cereal bowls or soup bowls, and the 5 of them sold for $49, plus the shipping, which was $8 to wherever I had to ship these. I don't remember. This was just in my last thrift haul, I think, a 1930s pink Depression glass, or from the Depression era, ladies' dresser tray. Trinket box, which would hold rings or perhaps even powder and a powder puff. I was going to show you a larger image, but and that sold for $22. From the 1920s, a stretch glass blue iridescent bowl, and I wasn't sure of the maker on this, so I didn't list the maker. It was either Northwood or Fenton or Imperial or Dugan or U.S. Glass Company. Oh, I didn't even tell you what that sold for. Not a whole lot. That is kind of a common console bowl. $24.99. A Starbucks mug, a 16-ounce grande Starbucks mug. This is one of the very few items, new items, that I do pick up and sell because I can sell them. And some of those, I think the ones that have the different cities, they really sell for a lot. This one sold for $10. And then the Batman and Robin, this is just Robin on both sides of the Fire King mug, made in the 1950s or 60s by Anchor Hocking. That sold for $14.99. Next up we have a vintage, no, that shouldn't say, well, it does. All right, Garfield mug. I'm weeding through these. 1978, that one sold for $7.99. You can see this is taking a few seconds to load here. For 10 bucks, a tea canister, a 1960s Chromex tea canister. If you'll remember, in my last thrift haul, I had about, I don't know, 6 of these, but it wasn't a complete set, so I decided to break them up and sell them as replacements. I put some pretty, I priced these so that they would go, because they're not rare, they're not uncommon, there are a lot of them out there, and I want to move them. So 10 bucks, great. And I paid almost nothing. This is a Lefton 1950s Christmas sled, which could be a candy dish or a centerpiece for your Christmas table. And that bad boy sold for $22. And next up, from the 1920s. Oh, the headphones. These are radio headphones that were made, again, in the early 20s, because radios didn't have loudspeakers in most cases, and you had to listen to them through old headsets just like that. That sold for $24. Selling for $35. I paid $1 for this. I don't remember if I put this in a thrift haul video or not. It's an original photograph taken in 1924, and this is the it's one of the secret societies at Yale University, part of the Sheffield Scientific School, which I think is now defunct. The Berzelius Club. It's one of the. It's like Skull and Crossbones, those secret clubs. And this photograph, as I said, I paid $1 for it, and it sold for $35. The 1950s Kissing Dutch Kids, boy and girl. Oh, they're salt and pepper shakers, right? And they are sitting on their original bench. And that bench also has Japan on the bottom of it. Aren't they cute? I sold another piece of my 2000 Jadeite, which was also in my last thrift haul. This pie plate sold for $40. Again, I showed you, last week, I showed you that the brownie pan sold. This is a picture of all of it. Oops, there we go. That pan right there sold for, I think that sold for, did that sell for $35 or $40? One or the other. So I now have one pie plate left, the big casserole dish left, and the casserole dish with the lid, the circular casserole dish with the lid. The snowflake pattern, which is one of my favorite patterns in Pyrex. This is what, late, well, no, 1960s. Maybe late 50s, I don't remember. You can look it up. This was in good shape. It didn't have a lid, and I sold it for $15. And next up, for $85, a 1945 RCA radio. This Bakelite radio was in absolutely beautiful condition, as you can probably see by the photographs that I have here. I'll show you there. Isn't that great? Just show you a few of the pictures. I set it on top of that Deco blue glass so that it would be very reflective. I took lots of detailed pictures of it. This is a particular radio that really sells for in the $50 range. But because this one was in such great shape, although electronically it needed work, it sold for $85. These sold for $19.99. It's not a matching pair, although I believe they were made by the same company. They're bookends. The female figure is much larger than the boy. There would have been another one like this to match her and another one like him to match him. but I sold the two anyway together. And $19. I just put this on. This is a 1930s Anchor Hocking Cameo glass, depression glass sandwich plate. Sometimes it's difficult to get good pictures of the detail on the glass. That sold for $12. It's not a very valuable piece. And then I was also happy to sell 24 pieces of, I bought all this Mikasa, blah, 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 3 or 4 months ago, and I sold several pieces of it, and then it did nothing for about 3 months, and then all of a sudden yesterday, someone from Arizona said, I want 24 pieces of it, so I almost have none of it left. And he bought, I broke this up into lots, sets of 4, he bought 2 of each. So he ended up buying about $160 worth of this. You'll see that these 4 bowls sold for $24.99, but he also bought a second set of 4 bowls. So that was about $50 for the bowls. Again, this is made in Japan by Mikasa. It's the Sierra Stone Blue Point pattern, very mid-60s, very mid-century. Here are the dinner, these are either the dinner plates or the luncheon plates. These are the luncheon plates, I think. He bought 2 lots of those at $24.99 each. And then he also bought 2 lots of 4 plates at $29.99. So again, a total of $160 for all of this. That's a picture of some of it. I didn't get the cups and saucers in there. So I ended up, it's funny because I wrote to the man, and first of all he wrote to me and he asked me what would it cost to ship all of that to Arizona. And I said, well, I need to put it in 2 boxes in order to ship it safely, because the boxes would be way too heavy, and I'm not putting 24 pieces of china in 1 box. So I wrote back to him and I said, well, I'm sorry, there isn't anything I can do about the shipping. It's going to cost $80. I did weigh everything, so I knew in advance how much the 2 boxes would be. And I thought, well, that's it. You know, he's not going to want it. He immediately wrote back and said, that's reasonable. Let me pay you now. So he paid $80 to have $160 worth of china shipped out to Arizona, which was fine. I spent about a half an hour packing it, and I put it in 2 boxes and shipped it today. So that was cool. A 1960s Fire King mug with a little bird on it. That sold for $9.99. From the 1930s, a Depression butter dish. This is very common, doesn't sell for much, and my butter dish had a little chip in it, but the lid was perfect. That sold for $12. Excuse me. This beautiful German bowl, decorative hand-painted bowl, sold for $14, made around 1925. And to the same person, these 2 Anchor Hocking forest green bud vases from the 1950s, early 60s. And these went into the same box out to California. And then finally, yay, my pink flamingos. I sold these for $50. If you remember, I showed you these, I think in the last thrift haul. They were free because they were all bundled up in another box of stuff, and the guy said, oh, you can just have the flamingos. And so I had obviously no money in them at all. And one of them was signed. This one right here with its head down is signed. This one is not signed. So I put the 2 together so that the unsigned one would be helped by the signed one. Does that make sense? And they sold for $50. So they just sold like 30 minutes ago. and so they will go out in tomorrow's mail. Another thing before I forget, I have been finding so much vintage Christmas. What I'm going to do is hold on to all of it and probably on the last day of July do a Christmas in July. So I hope that you'll like that. Welcome to all of my new subscribers. If you're not a if you're not a subscriber, please hit subscribe and the little bell so you know every time I make a video. Feel free to leave a comment in the bottom. I read all of them and I try to write back to everybody and answer your questions. And this is, oh, and stay tuned tomorrow night for a thrift haul video. This is Scott from the Old Curiosity Shop saying thanks for watching and so long for now.